Is it the 0% interest free one on your YouTube?
Um,
So I saw another sheet that explained the bonus multiplier and was showing you'd have
Say again?
here. Saw that another spreadsheet that was showing the bonus multiplier and how it added to the full supply. And
Oh,
made the initial pulse price like 0.0004544 basically, rather than 0.000170. But I have no idea if it's correct because it starts with a 2.5x on the first person and then moves down to the next person rather than the next point. So I don't know if it's calculated correctly.
So you're talking about the spreadsheet that calculates the multipliers for the sacrifice?
Here, I'll link it in one of the channels. Which channel are you paying attention to?
I'm in this channel, LiquidLoans. Not really paying attention to it, but
There we go. Posted it.
get on a link. Leaderboard. Oh yeah. What I'm talking about has nothing to do with the leaderboard stuff.
No, I know. This is just to show how they're showing the volume multiplier and what the max supply might be. And I'm just curious, does any of this even look right to you, or did somebody use the wrong numbers everywhere?
Like what looks wrong to you?
Well, one of the things that I was hearing was that like multiplier is the first person's points start.
Sorry, you're cutting out. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
What I had heard was multipliers point, or the person's points get the multiplier, not the person themselves. So that 29.6 million, like the first point would get 2.5, the next point would get 2.499, like that kind of a thing, rather than his entire supply getting 2.5x.
His entire supply. What do you mean by his entire supply?
So he's getting the entire 2.5 multiplier times 29 million. And the next person's getting 2.49999 rather than 29 million getting 29,618,338 getting 2.5, then 29,608 or 617 getting 2.4999. And like, it sounded like Richard said that it was like every point got the multiplier separately rather than every person.
No. Yeah, I don't know how you. No, this. I mean, this looks right to me. It's per
Okay.
person, depending on the days they sacrificed. It's like a volume multiplier. Yeah, I mean, this seems right to me.
No, it's not correct. You have to look at it like this. Imagine $100,000, yeah, whatever. Then you put 100,000 coins of $1 in a row. Now the very first coin, the very first $1 coin gets the multiplier of 2.5. The next $1 coin gets 2.4999. The next $1 gets 2.4998, and all the way down to the last coin of the row, it's a 1x. Whatever the line is, how long the line is.
This is completely wrong. That's what I thought.
I don't know. That doesn't sound right. That was per person.
Richard explained it. I just wasn't sure if I was hearing it right. It sounds like I was.
I mean, yeah, because I never got the whole 49999. Like, how many nines is it? And like, you know, if it went down, how much does it depend on the volume? I don't know much about it. I haven't looked at it honestly.
It would depend on the total amount of points, I guess, right?
I think it
What's
gets
that?
divided by the exact amount of maximum points.
It will depend on the maximum amount of points, exactly. So in that case, it's, yeah. So each, as he spells it, right, each point grows legs.
Does he explain it like in writing somewhere?
Yeah. I think maybe I took it from the old pulse chain. Let me check just a second.
Only $1 gets the 2.5 multiplier. The next dollar
No,
gets
no,
0.4.
no, 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 no. Forget the dollar value. Forget the dollar value. It's the points.
I know what you
And for
mean, but
$1, you get 10,000.
only one
And for
point.
$1, you get 10,000.
Only 1 point gets a 2.5, and the next point gets a 2.49999.
Exactly.
Let's looks wrong too.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it. 'Cause I don't know the formulas.
You can see it on just
Please
pulsex.com. If you go to pulsex.com, and then under the volume bonus,
Same
There
as
we go.
just with the volume. How it works. Mention that each sacrifice point grows legs, puts on a shirt. Largest sacrificer's points line up first, then second. Goes down the rows, hands everyone a card. Now all the points stand up ahead of the changing room. First point enters out and comes 2.5. All wearing the same sacrifices address. Yeah, so linear binding curve. Whatever that means. Top guys took most space, less location. But like, so yeah, I guess it's per point. So you do 10,000 times the dollar value, and then you go from there. Like, worth ever so slight. What's the ever so slightly less? How does that work? That's the part I don't get. Like, what is it like?
Because from the top guy, the top sacrificer, all the way to the lowest guy, the 2.5 has to be divided. So the lowest guy gets 1, and the top point gets 2.5.
But
And everything in between, has to be divided.
You take the total divided number of points, divided by 2.5, and
Other way
then
around.
or
Yeah.
whatever the other way around is, and then for each point you go down that ratio basically.
No, the other way around.
You know, it calculates.
Do we know what the maximum amount sacrifice was? I'm sure somebody does. I just don't see it anywhere.
So like, I guess if you just do a quick.
If you guys want to see a better way or a better demonstration of how it works, I would use the sheet I made. But hey,
Oh, you've got one
Okay,
already made.
so total addresses, total supply, 1.5 divided by 2. Is that right?
you can't do it the way there. The way it's being done there, you can't do it.
Yeah, no, it needs to be remade.
What's
It's got to be volume weighted and then sorted by volume, with the bonding curve put in place, which you can't really get now without scraping the data a different way.
what do you mean by volume weighted?
Can you go back to the colorful sheet, and I'll show you how it
Yeah.
works.
Oh, so this is yours?
But if you go, I think on the top right somewhere, there's a link to mine. Scroll over to the right more.
I added your link to our chat.
Yeah, so that volume visualization by Profx. Click on that volume.
Yeah.
So down 3 rows, the orange, the title. No, at the top of that one. A little down, a little bit down. 5 rows down.
Oh, okay. By prefix. Okay.
Right there. Yeah. Go hit that first link. All right. So now go to the second sheet once it loads.
Where now? Leaderboard?
The leaderboard, yep. Sorry, I'm looking at it on a phone. It's a little small for me, so I gotta zoom in.
I'll zoom in.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna turn my thing sideways, so it'll get me more.
There we
All right,
go.
so
That looks much better.
Yeah. So you see the first address has 47 million, right?
Yep.
Then what you do is you take a percentage of the entire sacrifice that they have. So that's 5.6%.
Okay.
So their first dollar in is going to be getting a 2.5 bonus, right?
Right.
Their last dollar, right, out of the $47 million or $48 million it's doing, is going to get a 2.41 volume multiplier, right?
Yep.
So you just take 1.5 because that's the difference between 1 and the 2.5, right? There's a 150% bonus you can get. So you just take the 1.5 times it by the percent that they have of the entire pool, and you subtract it from your starting value. And that's how you get your ending multiplier, right? And then the average multiplier is just, you know, the average of the two, the starting and your end. Right? And then, yeah, so you're fine there. So then the next column over, like your actual column G, is the actual volume bonus multiplier for the 47 million. So in effect, he's going to get a 2.4575 multiplier for all of his, you know, for his total amount, right? He doesn't get a full 2.5. He actually gets a 2.46 effectively.
So his average is 2.4575.
Yep. Yeah. So you can take his 47 million times it by the 2.47 or whatever it was. And then you can figure out how many pulse points he's got, or pulse X points he's going to get, or pulse tokens, you know, in the end.
Okay.
And then, you know, the last column's just doing dividing. Hey, how much did you actually put in? How many points are you getting out? And so what is your kind of price ratio there? So you can see he's got a better price than the next guy, and, you know, so on and so on.
And then you got to think, like, this money they put in originally, how many X's is that from, you know, when they started this whole thing, you know? Are they already 100X right here up, and then they just want to get a few more X in pulse, and then just jump ship? There's
I'm sure there's probably a few hundred or a few thousand X some of these wallets. So yeah, so I hope this is a little bit clearer, at least, of how it works. Now, I am probably going to do an update to the sheet and make it a lot more complicated today, because the bonding curve has come. So now that the bonding curve is here, you can't necessarily do it as easily, right? Because you've got to calculate how much. You still got to calculate the weight, the volume that people put in, but now your dollar amount is worth less and less, right? So you could calculate the points and then add up the points. For the pulse chain sacrifice, I did it a little bit backwards, where I just, you know, I divided whatever you sacrifice, if you put in like $1,000, let's say today, and the rate's 1.34, I would divide the $1,000 by 1.34. So I would give you credit for, let's say $700 instead of 1,000, whatever that number ends up being. I guess it would be $7,462, or $746 I would give you credit for when I'm doing the volume bonus math. And then it makes it a little easier just to do the calculate it in the end, because you would still have to give that volume bonus to the points you've already calculated once. I think it shortcuts one calculation if I kind of work backwards from the US dollar amount. But yeah, but like I said, so ever since the bonding curve started on the 10th, what that means is you can't just take what's on the leaderboard if you're trying to take what's on the pulsexlead.com website, because you don't know when things are sacrificed. Yeah. So I'm working on something right now, actually, literally right now, using their APIs to first I download their leaderboard, and then I'm going to have some VBA code basically go through Excel and go through all the 75,000 addresses, use their API to go get the detailed transactions for it. And then from there, I can do the more detailed math that needs to be done.
What API are you using to get the details?
So on the pulsexlead.com website, they have an API section.
They just have a whole big list of all the transactions associated with the SEC.
No, they don't. Yeah, so they have public APIs for basically for like totaling the different coins, right? So you can see how much was done in Hex, how much was done in Ethereum, whatever, right? USDC. But the last one there, the last API call, you can actually put in an address, and it'll feed you back all the different transactions that occurred, right? With the timestamp, what the ticker was, what the value was, what the USD value was. And so I have to write some code here that goes through, after I download the 75,000 or whatever we're at now addresses off the main page, I got to run this against every address to get the detailed information. It was much easier last time. They just gave us the full transaction list.
Are you adding Bonex as well?
Spreadsheets?
Say that again?
I was just asking, are you adding Bonex and other networks, so you're just going off Ethereum?
Yeah, this is just Ethereum, right? There's another guy, Sunswage or something, Sunzue, that actually went and used the API calls for the Binance Smart Chain, I guess, to get that. So there's a Google Doc if you go look it up. If you go look it up in the PulseX chat, there should be another Google Doc with the Binance data, so you can merge that in. So that's kind of my intention. Is if I get this done, I'll upload it, and then I'll see if I can integrate his Binance stuff and do that as well. I have a feeling that the How to Pulse guys are going to beat everyone to it, and I think Walrus said they should have their leaderboard up in like 48 hours or so.
Is there somewhere I can go to get these spreadsheets?
So in the main PulseX chat, you can type !VBM for volume bonus multiplier, and it'll give you the 3 sheets. It'll give you the first one, the dust bombs with the coloring, right? And then the second one is mine, and then the third one is another one that does a graph of, I think, the sacrifices or something. I've looked at it once, I can't remember.
Thank you.
We'll do the exclamation VBM. Why is there so many?
Yeah. I started trying to do use my junky program I use for work for doing like just web scraping, which is not ideal. Obviously, it's not an API, and I think it was taking like 5 seconds roughly for every transaction, for every address. I mean, and then I went and did the quick math, and I realized it was going to take like 4.5 days to scrape the data off the pulse lead doing it that way, and it would tie up my computer obviously the whole time. So then I had to actually go look at the API calls, which is, I mean, it's somewhat easier. It's definitely faster. Yeah, so on the front page too, I have a link to the original sacrifice for Pulse Chain. And that one's got a few more sheets in it. I basically just took I took it and deleted some sheets, hid some other sheets, and then just released this thing quickly. But the more complicated way is kind of there in the background if you go look at it, if you're interested at least.
Perfect. Are you aware that with DBank you can see a detailed breakdown of all the coins?
You mean just by putting the sacrifice address in there?
Yeah, maybe it's not enough for what you are trying to do, but something.
I think I did see somebody pull it up on stream or something once, and it did look, pretty interesting. But I don't know if it has the same detail, I guess, like you're saying. At this point now with the bonding curve, I really need to get down to like the transactions, the individual transactions, so I know what day it is and what bonding curve I need to apply to it.
All right, sorry, I was trying to save all that stuff. Did you say there was somewhere else to look for other information?
Yeah, go to dbank.com and put in the address. Then you can see a detailed breakdown of all the chains like BSC and whatever, Matic, and all those things.
Yeah, I definitely should go look at that at some point, because before what I had is on the front sheet, even though I don't know, let's say the Binance, the Bitcoin or Litecoin sacrifices, and that sort of detail, right? I can still put in total amounts so that we know what the total number of coins are. So at some point, I probably need to go and do that as well, if we have that information.
Ty was just circulating a visual of a 95% majority Ethereum sacrificed, about 5%, almost 5% BSC, and just like a trickle from there, 0, 0, 0, 0, maybe 1. So specifics, I'm not sure. I think Hex is the biggest ERC within the ERCs, but it was 95% Ethereum based so far.
James is streaming it on his screen right now.
I was trying to figure out a way to find,
of course,
get all that pricing data for all tokens. I'm trying to set up a dashboard on Dune Analytics for other stuff related to Hex. And there's no like pricing per token. You have to do it manually. It's a big pain because it's a lot of data. It's all obfuscated.
Yeah. What did I use? I mean, if you just want current pricing, that's one thing. But if you want historical for every sacrifice, yeah, that's a whole completely impossible thing to do. I mean, not impossible, just harder.
I'm trying to do it to find all the trading stuff and just trying to see how many people are in profit and how many people are not, and just all the gory details of Hex. So
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you go a little bit to the top and then to the right, there is a history tab, but I cannot find it if you can download it. But there is a history tab.
Yeah, I don't think they have a. There was another one like Z something Zerion. Somebody mentioned that a while ago.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this might not be a terrible list to look at. It's listing all the coins. If they've got an API you can use, that'd be great.
What is it? Chasing down the unique identifier addresses to sacrifice for each chain, basically.
Yeah, I mean, here it's basically just doing like every single transaction on every chain. It looks like, at least the ones that they're following. So you kind of, now that the bonding curve started, I at least need for my spreadsheet, I need a timestamp, so I know what bonding curve to apply.
Open API.
There you go. Yeah, hopefully it's not too expensive, or they let you do enough transactions for free. Some of them, you got to pay if you do so many transactions a month or whatever.
I don't know if they have any like pricing data on here.
Sorry to have derailed the spreadsheet explanation.
No problem. I even built a hex calculator. I was trying to calculate like the percentage of shares over time, that if you like kept putting it back in, or if you take out like a percentage of your yield, and even with like a 50% calculator of yield, if you keep putting it back in using like the hex daily stats as like a starting point, and kind of calculating like percentages, just like average percentages of change in like the amount of total T shares, and like your hex yield and stuff like that over time, and you go up even at like a 90-day stake every time. Your percentage of the total pool, if everything has the same like if it's go to like the, what was I doing? If you go to like the number of, if you calculate based on that data, you kind of extrapolate based on like the past like year or a few months of like percentages of change. You can kind of figure out how much total T shares will go, and then how much hex per day. I need to add like T or hex per T share, etc.
Problem with that is that even calculable? Because it changes based on ending shares, right? Or ending stakes.
Well, like the hex per share is it only gets affected when like a big stake ends, basically. It recalculates it based on their ending output yield, and it only gets recalculated basically a few times a day, just because those end stakes are so big. The tiny fish don't really never affect it that much.
It seemed like it was somewhere around like 15 to 20 a day.
Yeah, it goes up on average, that much per day, whatever. But it only, like I said, only a few end stakes actually affect it. The rest don't do anything to it, because once their their stake is ended, it's already gone up so much from other end stakes before it that it doesn't affect it at all. Yeah, I guess back to, what was my other one at? Where did I put that? I think I disabled it. Did I disable that?
Yeah, it's always the problem trying to figure out what sheet is what when you got them all open.
So yeah, so the LiquidLoans one, it has, so you can put in your the number of pulse you receive, the amount you bought it at, whatever, and then you can put in like an estimated initial price, and then your risk, your drop in price that you can risk before you lose the vault and your collateral, and then you could put in your kind of like an estimated ROI over time per year, for the price to go up. And then there's the one will just do like how many pennies per day or whatever, and then there's like a multiplier that kind of makes that more exponential instead of linear. And you can kind of change that right here, additional price yield per day. So like 1/4% will kind of make it, it's kind of like getting up there to where, if you put any more than that times your 100x ROI, it'll like drastically increase the price over time. And then so you put in whatever percentage of risk. You can add like if you want to put in like something from your paycheck every 2 weeks, you can put in like a amount of pulse per every so many often. That does that. And then what else is there? This thing's being weird. Why can't I? It's still calculating. You can't go up and down. I don't know why. I can't go up and down. Maybe
You got it frozen and it's too big for showing, probably.
oh, maybe zoom in, zoom out a little bit. There we go. Oh, okay. Okay, so, and then, so you can do like a once per day, or do the standard percentage. So take a loan every percent increase in price. And then I added like the minimum $2,000 fee, and then the $200 fee that gets back to you if somebody redeems your vault, or you lose it if you get liquidated. I put in like the PulseX fees, because this thing will do, I think Haunted's does PulseX too. This thing will calculate in the 0.29% PulseX fee when you trade USDL to PLS. And then stats. What else? I broke the like the comparable to like, because there's just so much data, I really want to copy over how much it calculates twice. Because I had a simple one and then I kept upgrading it. So the comparable one is kind of broken right now. So you could put in like maybe you want to do a little more risk and to see what your output would be. But that's broke. But and then I have like you can like get basically an overall view of over time how your stats would be based on like every few number of days. I set up to where it's like right now it's just at 166 days. So then you can kind of see like month by year, month by month, how much your ROI stuff will do. And then I put in like so you could put in like a loan the dip thing in here too if you want. And kind of on top of that, you can do the loan the dip, and then you can also do where you can like save some of the USDL instead of converting it to Pulse and putting it back in your vault. You can save some as much as you want, like a percentage of the USDL that you get out from the loan. You save it until it dips a certain percentage, and then you buy it back in. So you can do that, and then you can set up the percentages of like so the spreadsheet will drop the price, like whatever percentage you want to drop it at, and then it'll buy it. And then it can also drop it more than that, like a max drop, to kind of just to make it more realistic over time when you're in the daily thing. And then I have like number of days to drop. So I just put it in here 60 days to drop 90%. And that's just like the drop is like average, just an average over the 60 days. It's whatever that is, 1.5% right now. And then it'll go back up at the same rate, but you can actually tell it to go a little bit faster on the way up with a multiplier option. So it does that, and then you can set your price when you want to buy back with the USDL you saved, the percentage, and then drop. You can set like a different percentage. So instead of buying at, if your max bottom is at like 90%, you can tell it to just buy back in with the USDL you saved at like the 50% level, and then it'll just keep dropping and then go back up, and away you go. And then there was some other stuff that I added like the liquid, like if you can put in your liquid loan, like your loans sacrifice points that you get. I put that in there where you can just put in like the total number of loan tokens distributed, and then that would be the amount that would be like the total put into the pool, liquidity pool, or LiquidLoans pool, to receive like the vault liquidation or the fees. I think you get the fees. I can't remember which one it is. And then you can put in your loan tokens, how much you're going to put in right at the start, and then of course like I don't think that matters, but how much you paid for those points, and then initial loan price percentage of Pulse. Yeah, and I also put in like maybe you can estimate your loan price to be like just a percentage of the Pulse price over time, and then it just keeps going up. So you can put it I put it at 2.5% of the price of Pulse, just a starting point. Yeah, and then so in the numbers section of it, which I probably should just unfreeze the top rows, but we'll just do it quick. It's probably okay. So you got a whole bunch of different columns. When you go by date, it'll give you like just the day, and then it actually, you can put in like a starting day, and then it'll go a month. It'll start a month later. So the start day of the Pulse launch, and then it'll start at a month later. And since you put in like the estimated initial price of Pulse, you know, whatever you want to put that at, it'll start a month later, and it'll give you like basically that's when you can start doing the volts, and it'll give you like an estimated ROI at that point, and etc. Just, you know, and then I have like 2 X's in there, you know, it'll give you like every two, because Richard likes to say every, you know, how many 2 X's there have been in hex, so I just added a 2X to the price of Pulse versus, you know, the original price. And then, you know, HODL versus the liquid loan strategy, price over time, and then your value of your HODL versus your strategy, and then your loan, you know, your loans and stuff. And then I also added, like, let's say you at some point you get redeemed or recovered, it'll like tell you basically how much you lost and how much you like basically took out of the system before you got redeemed on. And then you can add, like, you can put in like how, if you want to take out amount, it'll add that to the loan that you take out on that day. You can, you know, if you want to take out some money, you know, for just to spend on actual real stuff, you take that out, and then it, you know, accumulates that over time. And then so that's here, extracted value over time, your loan, and then it, you know, and then it shows you like your collateralization, you know, for each day. And then as you go, you wait, and then here, right here, it's starting to drop because, oh, you set the, you know, for every like 75% price increase, it'll start dropping and do that 60-90 day thing, or the 60-day thing where it drops, and then it starts going back up again. So right here you can see how like you're taking out loans every day, and then once that 75% increase in price hits, or whatever you set it to, it'll start going back down. And then where's that? You can also insert more Pulse. That's the one where you buy Pulse every 2 weeks or whatever you want to make it to, and then you can also, maybe you get some Pulse for whatever reason, you can manually put that in there. You can change the percentages too of the fees too, but I'm kind of getting off track here. So when you go down, like here, so you got no loan. So if I go back to the price, this works better on like a widescreen. So you can see how here the price started going down. So basically this will be orange whenever the price is below the all-time high, and then it goes down, keeps going down. I think I put it 90% drop, so it'll go down to 90%, and then right here, should be 60 days later, basically, or 50, 110. So yeah, 60 days later, and then it starts going ratcheting back up pretty quick until it hits the all-time high. Because I have the multiplier at like 3.5 or 350%, it goes up a lot faster than when it went down. So I took like a
one
week.
hell of a sick dip.
Yeah. So it does that, and then if you go over here to where it takes out the loans, like it'll show you that 90% dip. Now you're getting from 2200% collateral down to all the way down to 225, around 220% collateral. And then over here, this right here column, I believe, is the yeah. So this is the save, where you save the USDL every time you take out whatever percentage you want to save. It adds it up and then accumulates it over time. and then once it gets to that 50% drop at this day, it'll take that USDL and buy pulse to put into your vault. So you can see if you go back to here, it doesn't necessarily show it because I think I had to do it like afterwards, and it's weird. There's all this circular reference stuff I had to kind of mitigate or not do, so some things might not look weird, but let's see here. So that's the USDL stuff that you buy. Total pulse, and then those I put in the wall, but I didn't really update it to make it work with this thing. But you can kind of put in like a number based on what you're doing. It'll take it. You can times it by. You can do a different collateral rate of the times like 100 people, and build out that LiquidLoan, that haunted wall. So that's there, but it's not really finished. So it's, and then here you can see
what's a wall?
Oh, it's where like the super degens take out loans with like super low collateral, and then they put up buy orders on PulseX or whatever for Pulse with their USDL. They put it like 10% below the current price, so that people would have to eat through that huge wall that's created by these degens that have all this USDL, so that the price of Pulse can't go down past that wall unless like a super whale buys it up or sells it up, whatever, I don't know if that made sense or not. So that like if you have all these people building out this big it's buy wall, right? No, it's they put up theirs for sale. People had to buy out that price in order to get below that price, so that the wall tries to stop people from getting.
It's a buy wall. It's a buy wall. So you place a limit buy order below the market. So if somebody wants to sell, they have to sell into that wall. So it supports the market going up. So it's a limit buy order below the market.
So with a super degen play, if you have all these people with all this pulse, they can, put it at a super low collateralization, take out all this USDL and then put in the wall, so that like the rest of us can like not be liquidated, basically. So that's kind of that, but I don't think I updated that. And then I have the this part where you have loan tokens, where you can put that into the pool, and it kind of estimates like, I think it estimates like, it starts at your how many loan you think will be in the pool, and then your loan, and then it takes the percentage of yours. It increases the loan pool over time to whatever you want it to be at, and then your loans doesn't increase, so it decreases your percentage of the pool. And then putting loan in the pool will get you the fees that everybody puts in there. So I think I just put in like a estimated amount of fees. What did I do? How did I do that? I haven't worked on this for a while, so it's like, number of volts. So it just estimates number of volts, and then that grows that over time. You can volts growth over per day, exponential, whatever it is. Each day it times it by the same amount of percentage growth, and then stability pool growth. USD and stability. It just kind of estimates how much you could earn off the fees by putting your loan in the pool or stake, whatever you do with it, how much you can accumulate over time with just that loan token. So yeah, and oops, and that's on this over here. You can see how much you can make from in Pulse, from the fees that you collect from the loan, and then also like the value of the loan token itself over time. So I did that there. Whew. I think that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm gonna have
So
to
say,
stare at that for a while to find my questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say thank you for making it. Now I don't have to make one. So it looks very comprehensive.
At some point, I'll probably end up making like something where you can actually track your own volts, over time and stuff. I'm not sure how I'd do that, but just so you know what you're putting in and what you're taking out and stuff. But I don't know if that'll be a possibility to add it to this spreadsheet, or if I just need to make a completely new one. But what is it? So now the lowest person is in 4 zeros and a 4. Is what?
Yeah, 4, 5,
top
4,
guy
4.
is?
Do you mind me asking, what are you guys showing, presenting there?
Oh, it's the haunted strategy, like advanced spreadsheet that I built out.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. What is it? What is it for?
The haunted strategy. You know about the haunted strategy, right?
No, I apologize. I do not.
Oh yeah, it's a strategy where like you put Pulse into the LiquidLoans protocol, and then you collateralize it. So you take out take out loan USDL at like 1,000% is where you're pretty risk tolerant. You don't have a lot of risk to be liquidated, and that you take that USDL that you took out as a loan, and you just buy Pulse on the market, probably on PulseX, and then you take that Pulse that you just bought with the loan, and you put it back into your LiquidLoans vault, and then you just wait. Every time the price of Pulse goes up, 10% is like what Haunted does with this simple strategy. Every time a 10% raise, you take out another loan, you get more Pulse, and you put it back into the vault. And you keep waiting. Every time it raises 10%, whatever, you take out another loan, and you just put more. You keep kind of building up, accumulating Pulse, and it builds out. It lets you ROI faster versus just holding the Pulse until it rises in price. And then he has a simple like spreadsheet that he built out for everybody to use, and then I just kind of added on to it a whole bunch of different features and built this spreadsheet that you're looking at now to kind of advance it, I guess. And then the spreadsheet will show you all like the ROIs, and whenever it raises 10%, it'll show you how fast you can ROI versus just holding.
Okay, now I that is correct. I was aware of the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wonder about this. If it was ever tested with like back testing, right? Like if you back test pricing, and I know you don't, you can't really price it, but if you would price test it with another token. I wonder how the loans would freak out. At 1,000% loan to value, would you say that?
Yeah, sorry, I'm
I
sorry
did
to
Good.
that.
baby, but yeah, the
I,
next
I
thing
did that for Hex. You can find it in the pin messages somewhere. I did that for Hex.
Where would you find that? I'm sorry.
Hang on, I'll repost it for you. I did that backtest simulation you're asking for on Hex as an example, and on Ethereum as well.
That would be great to see. Yeah.
Oh, and then I also put in like I added like a price impact for when you buy the pulse, it'll increase the price a little, to kind of average out your wherever you put in there. So it kind of, I guess I forgot about that one. So instead of buying at market price, every single all your USDL buys all in at one price. It increases the price of pulse before it buys. So I just try to make it more real, I guess. Obviously, there's a lot of factors when you're considering when to make a loan and how much you'll get out of it, and etc.
Too many people use moon numbers, so that's good.
I posted it in
I
the
definitely
voice.
definitely didn't use moon numbers.
Yeah. See it.
Yeah, with 100% collateral every day at like 100, with like a year's, you're a little over 2xing your profit over versus just holding. Over time that grows more and more. And then like with current settings, I think I have it at like I think it's almost a 200x in a year, even with the prices going down and up. And if you want to
So,
use
is it
spreadsheet,
true?
go ahead.
Is it, the question is it true 80%, let's say 80% down in price? I mean, your loan actually gets called immediately. Was my question, how long do they have a grace period? Was it every 24 hours? They've at the end of, midnight, because it's crypto. And the other thing that concerned me is, have you guys put in the entrance and exit fees? I can't see the spreadsheets. I'm sorry, in detail. I'm on a phone too. I like to see this on a computer.
Yeah, well, my spreadsheet puts all that stuff in there, the fees that you'd have to pay for the liquid loans, for taking out the loan, and then also for the converting Pulse, the USDL to Pulse, and also like the what do you call it when you buy something and it increases in price. I can't remember for some reason.
Appreciation.
When you buy something on the market, it'll go up.
Interest? You mean the interest?
No.
Oh, capital gain.
Slippage, that's the word. Thanks. I don't know why that went. Slippage.
It just slipped the mind.
Yeah, it slipped the mind. Oh, your other so that when you can get liquidated at any point in time, if you're at I don't know if it's just below 110% or at, yeah, just below 110%. Most of the time, anybody can press the button, or any bot can enter the contract with to tell it to liquidate. So, and then also, if the average of all the vaults goes under 150%, you can get redeem, or that redeem's not the word, but it's basically the same thing, where all your vault gets redeemed on. The lowest ones always get redeemed first, or liquidated first, until that, as I was saying, until the average goes above 150%. So that's where your risk is, where you can also, if you have a really super low collateral rate, you can get redeemed on when people want to get Pulse for the USDL through the protocol instead of on PulseX. And then when you're recovered, that's the word for the average 150%. It'll recover it, and then basically it closes out your vault, and then you lose the Pulse, but you still have the value that you took out. But obviously, if you spend that, then you don't have that value anymore. But I have that set at 85% drop. Every increase by 50%. So it should go all-time high, half of that. 32. So it should buy. It was working. Then I was building out like a spreadsheet to show basically what happens when, like, a bunch of example vaults, like if one gets liquidated, the steps, what happens to those, and then how the collateralization rates kind of get distributed, or what happens to your liquidation vaults. And then what happens when it gets redeemed on, and then I plugged in a value and I somehow messed it up and made a bunch of circular references or something. Circular dependencies, so I don't know how I messed it up, but I was trying to kind of make, for example, what would happen if people got redeemed on, what would happen to the vaults, and then how much the providers of liquidity, how much fees they would get because of the redemptions and liquidations and etc. So I was trying to build that one out, but I didn't finish it really.
Oh yeah, so somebody had asked, where does that 10% go when the liquidation happens? How does that get split up?
It goes to the liquidity providers, the people that put in the USDL into the pool. That gets put.
Oh, so it's just like the fees, the 0.5 to 5% fee.
Yeah, whatever. whatever's left, whatever's the pulse they have that's in their vault that gets liquidated gets distributed amongst the liquidity providers, the people that have
So
that put
there
in
isn't,
USDL
like-
under the.
There isn't like a reward for being the person who does the liquidation.
Yeah, the person that presses the button gets the $200, and then I think
Okay.
they get a fee too. I think a percentage of the. I can't remember what it is. I can't remember if that's right or not.
Oh, do you know how often the people on the Liquidity protocol gets liquidated, and like how often, and is there like a record of it?
Yeah, if you go to dune.xyz, and then there's a Danny Liquidity. They got a big thing on. So the Ethereum is the Liquidity protocol, which is what's being forked.
Yeah.
As LiquidLoans to Pulse Chain, and it gives you all this stuff. They call them troves instead of vaults.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Where's the?
Yeah, so I figured if no one activates the liquidation button, that means the people that's in the stability pool, that's mean no one gets the pulse, right? If no one ever gets liquidated,
Yeah.
you're not going to earn no pulse.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. But or don't they? Somebody gets the fees, the borrowing fees.
Yeah, the borrowing fees is paid out in USDL, right? Up front?
No, I don't think. No, I don't think that's right.
I forget.
Couldn't even get that page to loan. Mine said
Borrowing.
not found or private.
Yeah, sometimes you stake the USDL in the stability pool, you get pulse and the loan token. Right? And then if you stake the loan token, you get pulse and the USDL.
The stability pool gets the collateral from the vault when it's liquidated. Yeah, the people that put the loan token in they get the fees from the borrowing.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's liquidations. Liquidated ETH, recent liquidations. There's on average there's maybe 5 a day, 10 a day.
Oh, that's a lot. Oh,
Yeah, that's a lot more than I thought.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I guess on average it's way less than that, but it's maybe a few a day at most. But like there's usually like a big bunch of them go all at once. So.
Well, because the price.
Yeah, plus they only have like over.
One.
Yeah, and they have like over 1,200 trolls, right? So it's not that much.
Yeah, it's 106. It looks like.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot more open vaults.
Looks like there's a lot of redeemed. There's a lot more. It seems like there's a lot more redeemed on So when people want to get US or Ethereum or Pulse for their USDL or LDUSD, that's when you get redeemed on, and there's a lot more of that happening because they're trying to get their Ether Pulse back instead of going through a swap.
But redeeming is you working within your own account, all right?
No, anybody can redeem on you. It goes in order of lowest collateralization rate, and you can get your vault closed if they have enough USDL to close enough of the vaults to get up to your collateralization rate, and so that's a risk you can take. Because there's where's that one right here? No.
What's the difference
Redeem
between
is when you
redeeming and liquidating?
redeem is when you get
A
your
redemption
debt
is when
basically
someone
bought.
Go for it, John.
I just said it. I don't know if that needs any more explanation. Where's that? Isn't there a graph here that has redeeming on it somewhere? I can't. And then basically, you're probably not advice here, but you're basically your tax. That's a tax event when you're redeemed upon, I believe. Because that there's somebody's buying or getting rid of that vault, which is basically, I don't know how that works, but
I didn't really catch what causes a redemption, or how's the redemption going? I didn't really hear that.
Well, if somebody wants
If
to
the price
exchange
of
their
the
USDL for, go ahead.
If someone wants to, if the price of USDL is below $1 and you wanted to swap your USDL for Pulse at $1, you can always redeem it for $1's worth. So on the front end, there's going to be a place where you can redeem redeem Pulse for $1 for the USDL you have. But there's also a 0.5% fee to do so. And the more people who use that, it ratchets up. So if the peg does go down to like 97 cents, you can always redeem it for $1. But you got to keep in mind that there's a 0.5%, and then it goes up every time someone uses it, and then it eventually comes back down when no one redeems after so many new vaults or new loans. It's not something you would want to use. You're probably better off getting Pulse on the market. It's cheaper for you. It's only when it's the Pulse, the USDL has gone down like 0.97 or 96. It just helps to keep the peg, so it redeems against the lowest collateral vault. So the person that's getting redeemed on, they're just paying off their loan, but they're taking their Pulse. So their loan's being paid, but they're also taking their Pulse.
So, what's the likelihood of that happening if the USDL goes below like 97 cents? Like how often, and the likelihood of that happening, and how fast would it recover back to $1? If we know.
On looking at other protocols, it generally goes back straight away.
Oh, okay. Just that the boss would just take over really quick or something.
Yeah.
Where's it?
So you're basically saying that the bigger loan, or whatever kind of loan that you have there, somebody else can turn your loan into their Pulse?
Yep.
They're paying off your loan.
And then keeping your capital.
Yes, that's why you don't want to be if you don't want to be the lowest collateral. If you don't want to be the lowest one there to be redeemed against. Most likely, the person that's the lowest person there wants to be liquidated anyway, so he's going to be redeemed against and then get liquidated. Like someone putting a loan at 115% or 110%.
I see on Liquidity, there's people that are getting redeemed at 134%. Is that just because their protocol runs differently?
No, that would have been the least that would have been the loan that was closest to, that had the least collateral.
So if the lowest is 1,000, somebody can still start taking your capital.
Correct.
Holy shit, that's one drawback. Okay.
Yeah, but it's just it's like a swap. Yeah, you haven't got that collateral anymore. It's just they're paying off your loan. It's a way to keep the peg, help keep the peg for the USDL. Every stablecoin has redemption. This is our redemption.
It's just funny because like it's always been touted as a way to never sell your pulse, which yeah, that is the case. The pulse is still on the market and it's basically being taken by somebody else. But at the same time, it's not like you're never selling your pulse, because if you're getting redeemed against, you're basically selling it against your interest. So you just can't be at the bottom. That's all it comes down to.
It's not worth it for the people to redeem if the the peg's too high or whatever. So that's only going to happen when that peg, what is it called, LUSD? Oops.
So what causes the peg to go down?
Like, what is it? I'm not sure exactly how that works. It's probably in their white paper. Oh, I can look up economics. God, that's hex price sure is hovering around 25% or 25 cents below. Like if you go on a year, it stays pretty good until it like goes down and then somebody redeems.
Okay, so it's not like a consistent event. It looks like it stays up pretty often.
Yeah, it looks like it stays above $1 for quite a bit, at least on Liquidity. It's basically hovers around $1.
More conversation and information I've gotten yet. Thank you guys very much, but I have to bail for a moment. Thanks.
Price stability. I wonder if there's another like thing you can think about where you try to take the loan out when the price of USDL is, what would be a better, when the price of USDL is above $1, try and take your loans out when that happens, get that extra bit of margin. I don't know how well you could time that, or if that's even a thing.
What was that peer-to-peer DEX chart you were looking at for liquidity? The previous one.
It's called.
I'm just trying to. He was asking when he was asking about how the peg was.
Well, I was looking at just Nomics, the price of.
Oh, Utopia. The Utopia. I've never seen that site. I'm just wondering what that was.
No, this is Nomics.com.
Utopia. Oh, that's just Nomics. Okay, got it. That was
just
an ad. Okay.
Just an ad for
Yep,
people to
I'm with you.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I've seen lots of stuff. No, understood. No, I have enough on my plate. Thanks. I was just wondering what the site was. I thought it was a specific site or something I hadn't seen before. Just Nomics.
any
Yeah.
old-
So speaking of the peg, yeah, I guess he was asking how the peg works with the loan token.
I think it's always $1 on liquidity, but like you can get it
Yeah.
off of liquidity for $1 lesser or more than $1, and then you can the bots will trade against that on the protocol to.
Right, and then I
get their
guess that's
values of-
that's the whole point is the integrity of that system and all that. There's always arbitrage.
Yeah.
And the integrity on what it's based on. So why we don't look to certain, regardless of keys. Admin keys, just what the ratio is based on. So how vulnerable are you to the market, etc. This basic philosophy of the peg.
July 26th.
Yeah, some of the most stable pegs dip, fairly wildly. Not so consistently. I guess it's always based on certain things, but some important